as I'm waiting for parts for the Riley so I can finish the fuel tank. It's ended up being something of a Velocette day, so I figure I'll do another update on this. I'm still dealing with the bodywork, but today I had Andrew visit, actually on his Velocette, which is the first time I've ever seen one running, the first time I've ever heard one in person. Very sweet sounding little engine. It's I know people describe engines like sewing machines, but this one did sound like a little sewing machine. Very smooth running, very quiet little engines, which is inspiring me to get back around to sorting mine out. Andrew had a look at the crank for me, and yeah, the bearings, the big ends on that are gone, which means I'm going to have to figure out how you take all of that apart and fix that. Apparently that's actually quite a common thing to do on Velocettes. There's a lot of information out there in the forum and places like that, so hopefully it's something I'll be able to manage by myself, because there is definitely wear in those now that the any oil that was there has had a chance to drain away. That was masking it before. So that's going to mean separating the crank and sorting all that out. Before I do that, I'll probably do a test reassembly of the engine just to check the other bearings and things. If I'm going to be fiddling with this, I might as well make sure everything else is as good as it can be. I'm going to make a big list of all the parts I need, and including things like the cylinder barrels, pistons, heads, various bits and pieces. And I'm going to send a big list to the club in the UK. They have a incredibly helpful spares department, apparently. Lots of spares, lots of advice, and I'm hoping they will be able to help me out, advise me on what the best thing to do is. I'm thinking with these, even though it's going to cost a huge amount to ship stuff backwards and forwards, it's just going to be easier to get this sort of stuff from the club, because otherwise I have to find somebody who can sleeve these or do the work on these, and these aren't common bikes here, so I suspect it'll be hard to find someone, and it'll be very expensive, and there's probably a chance they'll mess it up. So that's what I'm going to do with the mechanicals, but I'm still working on other bits and pieces. This probably just needs an oil seal changing, and all the paint taking off it. Apparently it's best not to take these apart, but I think these are fairly reliable anyway. So I want to clean up all of this, start cleaning up the frame, start cleaning up the shocks, the handlebars, bits and pieces like that. The front guard, I need to keep wire brushing this, but I'm also still fixing up the body. So I had previously welded these. I still haven't really finished the metalwork on these. It's still pretty rough. Like I say, I'm not totally against using some filler on this, because I can only get it so good because it's been battered around in the past anyway. I just want it better than it was, and if it needs a skim of filler to make it look reasonably presentable, that's fine. I still need to repair these. I need to fix these holes. The good thing with Andrew visiting was I was able to check his and see which holes I don't need. This is another one I need to fill. I might do that tonight while I've got the welder out. As I say, I need to clean all of this up. But I also went to Southwoods Museum again this morning and got some measurements off their bike. So I've been able to make the tailpiece the right size. I've cut the little flat on the bottom. That is what they're like. I also was able to compare against Andrew's, and I've welded that on now. This does, there is a lip under here, so I've flattened that out so I can weld it, and I will trim this and then continue that lip around. It goes around to about here and then just kind of tapers off basically. That is after welding it. I've TIG welded it. I was going to MIG weld it, MIG tack it to hold it in place, and then my MIG welder, the tip jammed and I can't find any spares. I'm sure I've got some somewhere, I just don't know where they are. So the MIG is out of action till I can get new ones. So I had to do a lot of creative clamping to get this in place, and then I was able to TIG weld it up. I haven't done anything with the welds yet. This is literally just being welded. I ended up doing 2 passes, so I did 1 pass, and then I find it helps for me, it really improves my welds and helps smooth them out if I do a 2nd pass and just kind of beautify things, sort of blend everything into itself, which I'd like to be able to say I can do perfect welds first time, but I can't. I'm just an amateur. I'm not good enough at this. So that seems to work. I had it trimmed pretty neatly, but then by the time I got to one corner, it had opened up by about a 1/16 of an inch. So I did the trick where you clamp a piece of copper behind it and then just sort of weld it across the gap, filled it up with filler. And that's pretty easy to do with the MIG. I've never tried it with the TIG, but it worked fine. So I think it's the other side, possibly. It's a bit hard to tell now. So the next thing to do will be clean up these welds, grind them down a bit. Might do that a different day. Actually, I think I will trim this though, just around there. The shape isn't perfect. I've noticed now that I've welded it, there's a slight kink here. So, but that, I don't think that's going to matter because everything's starting to get surface rust again. By the time that's on there, you don't see this. So this is the number plate holder. So I think that'll be fine, and that repairs the damage that was done. I'm still not sure what I'm going to do for this inside piece. I think probably I will just end up cleaning up these edges. I'll just make sure they're nice and smooth. And what else do I need to do on it? That's then getting pretty close, I think. More rust. It's going to need a lot of de-rusting. I'll end up spraying it with some rust killing stuff. It's all just surface rust at the moment. This I need to decide what I'm going to do with as well. So I might put this in some paint stripper. So somebody's drilled out the spot welds. You can see that's why there are those little half circles. And so this should be welded on here. It should be attached. This screw hole here, bolt hole, and this one for the bottom of the bracket that holds the petrol tank in place. So those should be there. But yeah, these ones shouldn't be. So I need to decide if I'm going to weld this back on, or do what they had, which was they had screws to hold it, but I think it'll be better to actually weld it back in place. Again, this is where my weld through primer will help, so I'm not sure the best way to do that. I could try welding in little pieces on these, but I've got a feeling I will just end up distorting this. Like I say, I'm not that great a welder, so I'm not sure about that yet. And this isn't something I could easily make a replacement. This has been pressed. Damaged a little bit there. I should be able to just fix that lip where it's damaged, hopefully. But yeah, I'm going to clean up these welds a little bit and trim the edges and see what it looks like. So one god-awful mess later, I need to do a big cleanup. I have the tail bit welded in place. I'm still finishing it off. Like everything else, I'm still finishing it off. But that's come out reasonably well. You can see where I've unfolded the lip a little bit there. What I will do is refold that and fold this down, but I want to make sure I've got the shape of this right first. So the problem I've got is it's not flowing quite right yet. I grab a straight edge. You can see there's a big depression. Not so bad on this side. It does sort of flare out just a little bit at the tail, not much. So what I'm doing now is just hammering it, just trying to tweak the shape to get that so it kind of looks right. You can see this side's in a lot more. So just a bit more hammering needed there. I think what will happen is as this comes out, this will change. So this will, it's all connected now, so it's going to sort of tweak. But I may need to just stretch it a bit through there. I'll just hammer it in there, get that stretched out. Still need to clean up all of these. They're not too bad. I did weld up the holes in the side and these two in the top. I sort of welded there because it was starting to crack. I still need to tackle this. This is the main bit of welding left to do on here. I need to clean up these and then figure out what I'm going to do here. The problem with welding on this is there's no shape in this, it's flat, and that makes it a real bugger to work with, because you can see when I hammered it there, maybe you can see I ended up putting some hammer marks into it, so they'll need a little bit of fixing. Trying to get to the back of these to grind them is impossible because of the battery box, which is welded in, so you've got that much gap inside there. So that makes that hard. It's just a really awkward thing to work on, but get it as straight as I can, skim a filler, paint, should be fine. Yeah, I think it's probably where I'm going to stop today. The bike, don't really have anything I can rest it on, but obviously the seat there is normally parallel to the ground, so it's looking not too far off. Whoa. So I might just give that another quick hammer, and then I really need to start packing up and going inside. Yeah, so these four are the front fork. I've got all of those. And it's kind of like how these things go.
And these ones here hold the petrol tank in the inside. And things like
do you have the felt or whatever it is on the inside?
Well, I had there with sheets of rubber which had been used for stamping like shoe soles and jandals out of, so I just glued those and does the same job. You can put your hand around under the edge, you'll feel it.
Because yeah, I figure you need something in there, don't you? Oh yeah.
So this rubber is about 5 mil thick.
These work. Yeah, these are on it's on a strange angle. But
does your frame, are these stainless steel? Or
no, they're just
painted
just steel. Yeah. They were quite hard to get straight, so on mine they were all dinged up, and I've straightened them the best I can. The only way you could do it properly would be drill out all the welds. No, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, it's always easy to set it that way.
So a couple of holes there, one there. Yeah, so I've got extra holes there.
For these, the seat.
Yeah, I think I've got a pretty good idea how it all goes now. And like I say, I just keep going and looking at the one at Southwards. I think the Southwards one is a bit of a bitzer though.
Yeah, it is. It's got a yeah, I figured that out. I think it had a steel swing arm, and for the later model, there's other stuff that looked later model on it.
So you've done different wiring
Well, yeah, I've added that. That's a Honda 50 ignition switch. I just use it as a battery isolating thing. So
okay.
that's all it does. Because otherwise, people can just turn your lights on. And but originally, that would have had one switch that does everything in the amp meter here. But I've got hold of these two switches. So that one does lights, and that one does ignition. And it's simplified from the original because I've used a voltage regulator. Because the original system is switched in more or less coils depending on whether you had the lights on.
Right.
Which meant you had quite a lot of wiring going up into the switch and then back to the alternator again. So having a voltage regulator really simplifies everything.
Yeah, I think that's why I've got an extra hole on the side of mine. That was where the it's either the regulator or a diode was attached.
Oh, it's a diode.
Yeah, and this is how I thought it was meant to be on the front. But these are all black.
Yeah.
Oh, but your rims are chromed.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, because mine isn't particularly original as well, it means I can do things like I can paint it a different colour if I want. It doesn't. It's not going to matter.
Yeah, but this is kind of following one of their two-tone schemes they introduced in the mid-50s. But
I quite like just
probably not exact.
Just the grey.
Yeah, the other one I've got, it's just more of a silvery grey, and I kind of like that because it's more like post-war austerity. This is more getting into the black and white 50s.
I've got the headlamp, all of that. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, things like this are really useful little details. It's like, well, where does the cabling actually run? Because all that was wrong on mine.
Yeah, in theory I need one wire going to the back, but because I've got a stoplight and I like to use the actual wire.
Right, rather than using the body.
Yeah, it's a bit more reliable.
Yeah, and I was pretty sure my bevel drive shouldn't be painted. Looks like someone's gonna put black paint all the way over it, so I'll just wire brush all of that off. I'll rather leave it aluminium. Same with the engine was all painted.
Yeah, that's, my other one's got that too. I don't like it. It's kind of hard to get it off though.
Yeah, I've cleaned all mine as much as I could.
There's a paint strip you can get.
Ah, that's your brake light.
Yeah.
The other thing, I need to get the right jets.
Oh, yeah, what size jets have you got?
I've got it written down somewhere.
I'll tell you what it should be. The main jet should be 25, compensating should be 20, and the pilot should be 25. And the starter is 15.
Yeah, I know mine were wrong. One of the books is actually wrong, I think. But
yeah, it is. Well, the Mark ones actually had a 13 for pilot jet. I wouldn't mind trying a season because I do have a slight flat spot just to provide, or maybe slightly richer pilot system like
not in person. And I'll let you know if I do a big order to them, because if there's anything you need, we might as well hook it into the same order, because I'm going to be paying for postage anyway.
There's a few small things I wouldn't mind getting.
Yeah. Like a little sewing machine.
Yeah.
Such a nice sounding little motor.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for stopping in.
Yeah,
it's motivating me to go and finish mine, so.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Well, I look forward to seeing that and all the other things on the road as well.
Hopefully soon.